Hey, what's up, guys? So I wanted to go over some ideas with you about how to get better as an improviser. And this is definitely my favorite subject to explore while composing is, an important part of my life. I've definitely spent probably more time just working on improving as an improviser and even live playing in improvisational ways. It's obviously a big subject, and it's something that I hope to cover over many, many lessons. But today I wanted to go over an aspect of improvising that is important. So when you think about music, music is either at any given moment improvised or composed. So it's kind of interesting to think about music in those two ways. It might seem obvious, but when you really kind of highlight it, it just comes down to one of those two categories. And with my original music, it's definitely got a combination of those two, leaning a little bit towards the improvising, because to me, improvising is, using energy in the moment to create the music. And each moment is unique, as we all know in life. So there's a lot of power in it, and so if you improve yourself as an improviser, then you are improving your chances of creating good listenable music more consistently, and there's a risk involved with improvising, and that risk is sort of there's a reward that comes along with it. Anyway, so it's a big subject, like I said, and I'd like to cover a lot more of it over many, many, many lessons. But so just highlighting an aspect, one thing you want to sort of keep in mind is that with scales, we'll just highlight scales for a moment. You think about I'm just playing kind of in the G minor pentatonic zone. The minor pentatonic scale is a limitation from the 12-note chromatic scale. And so you think about all the incredible music that's been created from the pentatonic scale, and how all that music wouldn't have been created if it was just all 12 notes being used all the time. So limiting yourself is a very, very integral part of developing yourself as an improviser. It sort of forces you to be creative, and it sort of highlights specific, in this case, specific notes. And that kind of, like I said, just kind of, it forces you to be creative. And it sort of, like I was going to say, highlights particular colors. It's kind of like if you analogize it to a painter, it's not all how many thousands of colors there are in the spectrum of light. They're not using all those colors all the time. They use certain colors at certain moments. And so it's like that with music. So practicing improvising, a way to practice improvising is to limit yourself not only to notes, but to zones on the guitar. So I think maybe a place to start with this that can be helpful for lots of different levels of guitar players is this sort of assumes that you know where the natural notes are on the guitar. And so usually with the guitar we have, for instance, if you were to just play the natural notes in the first zone on the guitar, which would be starting on this F here, the first fingered zone, then you would have outline, in this case, the F Lydian scale, which comes from the key of C. The key of C is all natural notes. But so a lot of scales on the guitar are kind of a 5-fret stretch. Some are 4, as we know. So what can be really cool to do is, say, take this 5-fret zone here, and instead of 5 frets, go to 4. And what that does is it really limits your familiarity with those notes in this zone, because you're taking away the pattern. And so pattern can be it can be sort of a blocking, or it can sort of block you from being more creative, because it's sort of, it's a lot of hand memory stuff, so you end up playing a lot of the same stuff. I've heard this from many, many guitar players. Hey, how do I stop playing the same stuff over and over? Well, take the shapes that you're familiar with and kind of restrict them in a way. So this is just one example, I'll give others, but if you took that Lydian zone, the natural notes in that first 5 frets, and instead of like this, you took it and put it into 4 frets, and you improvise. And so you want to, there's many aspects to all of this, but you want to obviously try to create music with it. One of the best, and I would say, I don't know, I was going to say the most important tool in your sort of arsenal of practicing tools is a recorder. I tell this to, I think, all of my private students. You want to record yourself if you want to improve yourself as a musician. It's such an important part of understanding how you sound, to figure out how you sound and how to tweak it. So use your phone, use a tape recorder, use whatever you have to record yourself. And you would want to take this and record yourself improvising for, like a minute or something, and listen back to it and decide what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And what you do like about it, then that gets into you and it sort of becomes part of how you play. The stuff that you don't like, then what you do is you do another take, you do another minute or so of improvising, and you listen back and see if you improved in that second take from the first take, the areas that you're not happy with. So that could be a lot of different things. And I would say one of the biggest sort of areas that you want to try to get together is your time. And so that's when the metronome becomes a very, very important part of your process. The metronome is going to outline obviously where the beats are. And I'm going to get into future lessons about how to practice with the metronome, but this, I can't overemphasize how important this is. So I would say have something to record yourself on and a metronome, and listen back and see if your time is good. See how it's lining up with the metronome. And if you find that you're rushing, you're playing ahead of the click, or if you're dragging behind the click, go after what you want. I, as a practicer for many, many years, have always shot for the middle of the beat, and I've only just in the last year or so started kind of messing around with that, because I wanted to get control of where the center of the beat is. And now that I feel like I have a pretty good handle on that, I'm starting to kind of, bend that a little bit and play a little ahead, a little behind, and kind of just mess with the time. But yeah, so time and good notes, or right notes, whatever notes you're defining as being the right ones for the exercise, are the two really kind of fundamental elements of your musicianship. So, like I said, I'm going to get to a lot more aspects of improvising, but I would say just taking those couple ideas right there, taking something, let me give another example about something where you might limit yourself from something that you're more familiar with. So for instance, that we'll take the A minor pentatonic scale. I've used this before in my videos, but it's such a classic guitar key and scale, right? If you were to take that and then just go up a half step, already you're going to be in an unfamiliar kind of territory. You're breaking up the pattern. So now instead of this, now it's, which is a little weird. And you're going to start playing stuff that you wouldn't normally play, but you're still using the exact same group of notes, or go down a half step from that shape. Whatever shape you're familiar with, just move your hand by a half step down or up, and you're going to put yourself in kind of an awkward place. But like I said, that's going to limit you, and it's going to get you out of familiar hand patterns, and it's going to, like I said, force you to be more creative. And over time, if you're recording yourself improvising with these limitations and tweaking what you're doing by observing what you like, observing what you don't like, over time, you're going to get better as an improviser. So yeah, I hope some of those ideas are helpful. Like I said, improvising is a massive subject. And like I said, it's also one of my favorites to help people with, and for me to personally practice. And I've devoted years to working on my ability to improvise, spontaneously create music. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys again soon. I hope this was a helpful lesson, and I really appreciate you joining me along the journey of exploring musical ideas.